Ralf Rangnick is currently in the UK and ready to finalise his deal after a total agreement has been reached. United just waiting for the green light from Lokomotiv Moscow to finalise and announce this deal. A number of journalists across social media this morning tweeting and confirming that the deal is either complete or close to being complete. It will come in on the 6-month interim deal and then go upstairs into the boardroom on a 2-year consultative basis, but he will have massive control over football matters. The Athletic this morning is reporting that Arnold, who is replacing Ed Woodward in charge of operations at Manchester United, will delegate a large amount, if not all, of the footballing matters, decisions, vision, and philosophy to Ralf Rangnick. Smash that like button, hit the share button, subscribe to the Football Terrace. Here we Morning, everybody. Ralf Rangnick to United. Deal complete between the two parties. Waiting for the formal announcement, but the deal's done. The deal is going to be over the line. He's going to be the Manchester United manager. That is it as it stands right now. A lot of reports confirming this morning. A number of reports confirming it this morning. A few just waiting to see it play out over the next few hours. Of course, we went live yesterday. We didn't take any calls, so it's really important for me to do a phone-in show this morning to touch on this. I want to hear from rivals as well, though. Rivals are going to be really important in this conversation because I want to know what you think and feel about this appointment. Of course, we did the Bet Victor Top 6 show last night. We recorded Friday night on the terrace as well. So a lot of discussions already on the terrace, but not with you, my audience. My audience are always the most important people to me, each and every single one of you, whether you agree or disagree. I want to hear from you today. A number of reports circulating, as I mentioned. One of the biggest ones today to come out, which I'm most excited about. I'll be honest with you, I'm very, very excited about. It's from the Athletic, and the Athletic are telling us that it is. I'm going to read you this. I'm actually going to put this up on the screen. It's easier for me to show it to you and rather than just reading it out loud because I think it makes a lot more sense. But it's about the footballing matters at Manchester United. Now, this is huge. This is huge. Legitimately, Manchester United fans, this is gargantuan. I'm going to put this up on my screen now so you can see this. But I'm going to put it into full so you can see it there. This bit here, this is from The Athletic this morning. Read this passage here that says, Arnold has made clear in recent months that he is prepared to delegate responsibilities on the football side of the club rather than seek to learn on the job. That, for me, as a Manchester United fan, is one of the best pieces of news in nearly a decade at Man United. One of the best. Because we have been screaming as fans for a decade to delegate football responsibilities to a tried and tested individual and or group within the footballing world. And it's required. It's absolutely required. And the brilliant thing about this is Murtaugh at United has been key. He's been key in getting this deal done. Didn't go to the Villarreal game, for instance, on Tuesday. He was working on getting Ralf in. And it's interesting that the reports have now kind of come full circle now into what went on at Manchester United. So they were trying to get Mauricio Pochettino. They did inquire about Zinedine Zidane, but they were still talking to Ralf Rangnick about coming in a directorship capacity. Although he's coming in as a consultant, he's still going to be in charge. If you're a 2-year consultant, you're essentially a full-time employee. You just don't quite get the same, it's just not the same title in, but roles and responsibilities pretty much remain the same. If you've ever been a contractor, it's pretty much the same deal. It's just easier to let you go. So for me, I kind of look at the situation and think, Myrtle and Fletcher were working on getting this done, knowing that he would eventually be their boss. But it's because they know they need to be led by somebody who's more experienced, longer in the tooth, and got more skin in the game. And that's what's excellent to see here. As much as I'm excited to see what he does with the team over the next 6 months, I'm more intrigued. I'm seeing a lot of fans say, why are you excited about a manager that's never won anything big? Blah, blah, blah. United fans are happy about what this means for the potential future of the club over the here and now playing style, which, by the way, I think could still be pretty good if you research. We've got a video dropping later about the style of him and what he can deliver. It's highly likely, according to Reuters, that Ralf will be in charge from Monday onwards. He will not be taking care of the Man United Chelsea game. He may be at the game. Reports today that he's already in the UK. He's been in the UK since Tuesday, according to reports via Sports Witness, and he's ready to sign that deal, or essentially signed that deal. It's all agreed. Man United are just waiting for complete clearance from the legal teams at Lokomotiv Moscow to get this deal complete and to install him as the new interim manager, and then going upstairs in a few months. I want to get your take on that as well. I'm also intrigued to speak about what happens next. Who's the next person to come in, though? Will it be Ten Hag? Will it be Maurizio Pochettino? Or somebody else? What do you think this is going to do for the appointment of the permanent manager? Now, remember, Man United did make inquiries into Maurizio. It does appear that PSG are not going to entertain the buyout clause. I spoke to somebody, a football finance expert yesterday, who said that the likelihood is within this contract is that, yes, you can buy him out, but it still needs permission from PSG for that to be done. So there has to be a mutual consent element to buying out the contract when you're going to another football club. Because Zinedine Zidane has said no to PSG, they don't have an adequate replacement mid-season. Therefore, the deal can't happen. That has made Man United execute this move for Ralf. The only thing that I'm still frustrated with over United about is that we left it a little bit too long. This should have happened 5 or 6 weeks ago. But as the old phrase says, better late than never. And that has now been delivered and is now moving forward. I'm going to share the link very soon for you all to come on and have your say this morning on the terrace. Make sure that like button is hit. You can still have a guess at our Football Terrace secret phrase. It's in that gold envelope behind me that hasn't quite yet been done. I want to know what's going through your mind. There's a comment here via our Twitch account that says, good luck to Poch. It's not meant to be. And I don't necessarily think it's not meant to be. You've got to remember that this isn't a case of Manchester United closing the door on Maurizio Pochettino coming into the club. It isn't even that in the slightest. It's about, if he's not available now, they were always going to have to go for an interim. Michael Carrick was never, if you actually read what's being said by the credible sources now as more of the story emerges, Carrick was never an option. They did contact the likes of, I think Garcia was contacted, Valverde was contacted, because you have to do your due diligence. If I'm looking to employ someone, I just interview one person as my number one candidate, and then it doesn't happen for a number of reasons. You're back to square one. So a number of people were being interviewed. Permanent and interim manager were being discussed. But the Ralf Rangnick situation is different. Man United wanted him involved, and they wanted him part of this setup more upstairs than they do in the dressing room. But this just serves all purposes. This is a tremendous piece of business by Man United on paper. They need to deliver it. There needs to be something tangible at the end. And we're seeing a real mixture from rival fans. You'll see on the Friday night show tonight, some questioning it, some rival fans saying this is scary. But I want to know what you think and feel this morning. How do you feel if you're a rival of Man United? How do you feel if you're a Manchester United fan? I'm going to open up now the link for you to call in and have your say. I'm going to share that in the live comment section. If you're watching over on Twitter, I'll share it in a reply on the feed there as well. But I want you to phone in. All you've got to do is click on the StreamYard link. It's really simple. Come on and have your say. Very intrigued, as I've mentioned before, for you to come on and have your say on this, because for me, your opinions matter more than anything else in relation to this. You are watching over on YouTube, Twitter, by the way. Make sure you hit that retweet button. Very, very important to the terrace that you get that done. Jason said, Mr. Super Chat. I missed your super chat last night. Apologize if I occasionally I missed it. Do you know what? When this shows when I'm not in front of my computer, it's very hard for me. I've got a new production assistant joining on Monday. Great young lad who's going to be really helping the terrace move forward. We will get better at that. So I apologize if I missed it. What I am going to do quickly, Jason, is just take. Oh, I see it here. It says, "Is the phrase heart ball to hand?" It isn't, but thank you very, very much for your super chat and for getting involved in that way. Let's have a look at some of your comments before we go to calls today. One here from one of my members says Richard Arnold may not be bad after all, but let's see. I think he is a major factor with Ralf Rangnick, the Ralf Rangnick appointment. Look, I think it's one of these things. I've said this about Ed Woodward before, and I stand by it. I literally stand by it. If you leave Ed Woodward, Matt Judge and co. to dealing with the commercial side of the game, United are fine in that area. If you give the footballing element to football people, Man United will be fine. You need to delegate these roles out responsibly. That's the key factor here. That's what Manchester United haven't done right since David Gill and Sir Alex Ferguson left. The wrong football people making football decisions. You've had bankers and commercial heads making football decisions. You know, I've worked in businesses where you have a commercial team, you have an admin team, a compliance team. You know, you're all different teams. The commercial team don't do the admin's work. The compliance team don't do the salesman's work. It doesn't work. You have to delegate to people with adequate skill set. So if this is true that Arnold is going to delegate football responsibility and they stand by this, this is exciting times for Manchester United Football Club. There's no doubt about it at all. Lee says, should have bought Rangnick in the summer in the sporting director role. He could have really helped Ollie, and then things still turned out the same way. Ralf would be ready-made replacement. I agree. And look, I think we can work backwards and look at things we should have done, and nobody's going to disagree with you. There are things that Man United should have done, could have done in the past. I totally agree with you. I'm personally going to look forward on this one and look to how we can move forward, how we can improve, how we can become better as a football club, and this is certainly one of them. Terry, which players Ralf would use or give a chance to? Look, I think he'll give the majority of players a chance. I'm pretty certain about that, pretty confident about that. It's going to be intriguing. A lot of people saying things like, what's going to happen to Cristiano Ronaldo? Is Cristiano Ronaldo going to be in trouble? Is Cristiano Ronaldo going to drop out? No one really knows yet. I think Bruno Fernandes, I think Donny van de Beek, Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho, they're standout names to me who I think are going to flourish under this manager. Alex Telles is someone he fancies and really likes as an example. He could do well. Cavani's work rate and pressing ability is going to be key. So I'm very intrigued to see how quickly Man United can have that step change and get up to the level that is going to be required. It's going to be very, very exciting times ahead for Manchester United, in my opinion. May not come to fruition. We've got to wait to see the fruits of the labor, but it's exciting. Dan here with an amazing super chat to the terrace. Says, I'm glad the board has realized the United way is outdated and is no longer a thing. Hoping now we can install a style of play through all our academies and now get more technical players rather than buying big names. Do you know what I would say about that as well? I agree to a degree. The United way isn't so much. The United way is how we end up playing football and how we deliver on the pitch. What leads to the United way, you're right, it should be changeable, adaptable, fluid, agile, changing with the times. In life, you have to sometimes adapt your inputs to maintain the same outputs. You know, there might be your business might be able to make money in a. I'll give you an out there example. A friend of mine about 3 years ago opened a really nice little eatery. There's enough like about 7-8 tables in there. They did a lot of takeout. People go in there and get their lunch and everything else. During lockdown, he was in a busy working area. During the lockdown period, nobody was at work. His business was in trouble. He was given a amazing deal by the landlord that owned a number of buildings around there. They were given a 12-month period where they didn't have to pay their rent. I don't know how that worked. Clearly, the landlord is wealthy. He didn't need the money, right? He then started running his business from home and was making deliveries to people, but then was basically driving down people's streets in the local area, and they could come out and order lunch. And then what he built up over time is they would put orders in during the day and then drop it off. He now doesn't have that shop anymore. He just operates as a delivery style business of delivering sandwiches and hot foods to people's homes because more people are working from home and to office spaces. He said that he's profits have doubled. So he's not only maintained the output, he's increased it. He's just changed the input. He's changed what he's done to get those same results. So you're absolutely right, Daniel. You have to adapt with the times. If you don't adapt with the times, you go out of business. It's as simple as that for me. And Man United have struggled there. It's a really great tweet. And thank you for the donation, buddy. Please, Dan, have a go. Have a guess at the secret phrase for that for that super chat as well. Ralf is awful. 40% career win rate. A classless man. Twitter basically appointed him, ruining the sport. He will flop big time. United are doomed, is what Harry has got to say today. Harry thinks Manchester United are doomed. I would say this. His managerial record is not what United fans are overtly focusing on. It's the after effects of that. His ability to build, develop, nurture, and create clubs that thrive at an amazing level, pound for pound. Pound for pound. He has done an amazing job. In terms of what he's done on the pitch, we'll see what he can do with probably the best squad of players that he has ever had at his disposal. He's very well respected in the game. I'm more concerned about what he does moving upstairs going forward. So thank you very much for that super chat, though, Harry. Really appreciate the opinion there. A-Bub here says, just as excited, and I get a lot of Man United fans out there are excited about this news. Ray here this morning. Sorry, I clicked on the wrong person. Ray here this morning says, hi, I'm very happy to see Ralf come in. It's not just the name, it's the style of play, and most important is the most important thing here. And I think that's key. And do you know what's interesting about this for me? It's a really good super chat as well. It's that evolution. I don't think there's going to be a huge overhaul. There will 2 or 3 players sold and 2 or 3 players coming in each summer isn't an overhaul. That's natural, even when you've got even Fergie. That's, go look at ins and outs every year. That was about right for Fergie. What I'm really focused on when it comes to this is I think the style of play is just going to evolve. I don't think it's going to take long for Man United to go from how we played under Ollie to what Ralf does. I then get the feeling, one of the points being raised in our title, which I'm going to take your calls on very soon, is I think Ten Hag is going to be the next manager now. I just have a feeling it's going to be him over Mauricio Pochettino. I think we're going to work. Yes, there's going to be a real emphasis on the press, but I think there's going to be an emphasis on more technical patterns of play, more intricate passing, more intricate ways of working the ball into the box. Doesn't mean it won't be Poch, but I have a feeling that it could be Ten Hag that comes in as the permanent manager. Ten Hag as the permanent manager with Ralf running the show, with Darren Fletcher and John Myrtle behind him. It's not a bad group of people running your football club. You've got Rangnick running the show and teaching the younger guys. You've got one of the best up-and-coming managers in the world, a very, very good style of football. And to the earlier super chat, then focusing on those technical players. Could be very interesting indeed to see how that pans out. Selection here says, good appointment, average manager, but what he will do for the club structurally will be fully worth it. And I think that's a really fair take there from Selection. I think it's a very, very fair take on things. It's that knock-on effect after that, which I think is going to be key. My member here, Jonathan, says, I'm not thrilled about this, to be honest. I don't know much about him, is what Jonathan has got to say. Ronaldo runs more than most players that are younger. And if that's true, he'll have no problems. No Prem experience is what Chris said. It's a good point there, Chris. A lot of Man United players will look at football in a different way because Rangnick because Rangnick even said having a quick mind is better than having quick physicality. Well, it always is. And I've always been more impressed by players with quick minds than with even skill. I think it's why my favorite player growing up was Teddy Sheringham. I love Dennis Bergkamp. I love watching these players. They had no real physical attributes as athletes compared to some of their peers, but they went toe to toe and often outdid them. And that was always a massive key factor to me. It really, really was. So breaking news this morning, if you've only just tuned into the Football Terrace, first of all, welcome. If you're new, subscribe. A number of journalists, we tweeted about this earlier on today, have now said that this deal is complete. Friend of the show, Andreas Claudston, who is a Norwegian football expert, really credible in the Chelsea space, had a lot of good Man United news in recent times as well. He has said this morning that the deal is complete. All Man United are now waiting on is confirmation from Lokomotiv Moscow to be able to announce this deal formally. He is likely to come in as per Reuters on Monday after the game against Chelsea. Carrick will take charge this weekend. He will then come in on a 6-month deal as the Manchester United interim manager before moving upstairs to run the majority of the football element of the club. This is music to a lot of United fans' ears. We're going to go to your calls very, very soon. Rivals and Man United fans alike, we want to hear from you today. I want to know what you're thinking and feeling and saying. Ten Hag doesn't fit his philosophy. He'll go for a young German manager. Won't be surprised if he goes for Munich's manager. And again, that's another good shout as well. I mean, listen, the whole time I wanted Nagelsmann. He was my number one choice. So if it meant we got Nagelsmann, I'd be over the moon. I think Ten Hag could come in and do something. I mean, even Poch, though, like Poch with someone like him behind him could still do a very good job. I think we'll wait to see the wood for the trees. But either way, if we bring in a top-class to world-class manager, either in the contemporary sense or with potential, with Ralf behind them, with this squad, I would be an excited Man United fan. But I want to know how you all think and feel about this. Right, a man like Alan here says the benefit of Rangnick at board level is what should excite Man United fans most. However, if Rangnick smashes it until the end of the season, will the Glazers make him the full-time coach instead? This is going to be my take on this. If Ralf is as good as we all believe him to be, if Ralf is as good as we all believe him to be, he won't put himself into that managerial role. It's not like he's been out there in the marketplace seeking a job as a manager. He seems more accustomed and inclined to want to be at board level. So therefore, I don't see him doing that. Does that make sense? I don't see him pushing in that direction. That's my personal take. But yeah, I don't see that being the case personally. I don't see that being the case personally. But it's a really good point being raised there. John here says, awesome. Great news this morning. I hear you on that. John here says, slow sports news, breaking news. United hoping to confirm Rangnick's appointment in the next 24 to 48 hours. But in fairness, they are right about that. It's in the next couple of days, it's going to be formally announced. But do you know what? This is one of those things for me where I feel like the deal is already, things are done. You'll probably just find there's some legalities being done, some photo shoots being done, some interviews being done. It's finished. It's over the line. It's very unlikely now that United are going to, unless miraculously this morning, Zidane rings up PSG and says, I'm going to join now. Only then do I think you would see a change. But even then, you just probably put Ralf straight upstairs. And that might even be better news to some people. It depends on who you want as a manager, I'm being honest. So there we go. Man like Matt, love Matt, great guy, says, from a Chelsea perspective, this is a great signing, is what Matt thinks and feels right now. Right, I'm going to go to your calls. They're the most important thing to me. I wanted to build up the audience numbers before we went to the calls, if I'm being absolutely honest. Still lots of people watching over on Twitter, which is amazing. Make sure you've hit that retweet button, though, people. That is very, very key indeed over there on Twitter. I can still see about 25 of you watching right now over there. So hit that retweet button for us. I want to see that go up as we're sitting here chatting and talking right now. My first caller of the day is going to be, I've got a pick. Do you know what? I'm going to, Pav's coming on. I'm going to put Sid on as well. But Russell's here, true Red Devil, one of the longest callers in Football Terrace history here. Welcome to the show, Russell. What do you want to say?
Hey, Sarah. How are you?
I'm well. We can barely hear you, mate.
Can you hear me now?
That's better.
All right. Sorry. Yeah. Thanks also for just appreciating that we've been here for a while and we'll stay here for a very long time, my friend. We love it. Love the Football Terrace.
No problem at all. What is your take on Ralf coming in as interim and then at board level at United?
Well, I'm glad, man. As a German, first of all, I'm glad because you guys are finally admitting it. The English once again come to the Germans for some efficiency. What do you know?
Mate, I only buy German cars. That's all I'm going to say.
No, but like really seriously, for once this club, since Alex Ferguson has left, have made a a decision that I can't believe. Actually, until I see him in a red shirt, I really can't believe this board have actually done this. You look at it. Since we last had David Gill, this is the closest for me we have to a person who understands football and can come in and actually implement some sort of philosophy in terms of long term, short term, whatever you want to call it, from the top going down. I'm not talking just the way we play in the starting 11. But
Yeah.
my issue with this Ragnick thing is I see a lot of I don't want to call them misinformed people who think it's just going to be club football, like heavy metal football. That's not the case with Ralph. With Ralph, it's all about whatever the manager decides. He needs to have the ability to take the sort of kind of football that he has in his head and put it in the player's head. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily supposed to be rockstar football. Thomas Tuchel plays totally different football from Jurgen Klopp, and he's also cut from the same cloth. So
Yeah.
Man United fans need to maybe educate themselves a little more. It's not going one way. It's really down to the manager we get after Ralf Rangnick.
I hear you on that, mate. Listen, we're having a few problems with your signal, to be fair, but thank you very much for calling in, mate, and having your say. Really appreciate that, Russell. Top man indeed. Long-term contributor of the Football Terrace. Next on the show, I'm going to go to a rival next. I'm going to go to Sarim, who's a Liverpool fan, to get his take on Ralf Rangnick to United. What you saying, mate?
Hi, mate. You're right. Can you hear me?
Yeah, very, very well. What do you want to say, bro?
Good. I just want to say I think it's a good signing, especially like the director of football, the consultancy thing, because what it'll do is, if you listen to him, it'll open you up to more managers. Whereas I think before you always had to go down a certain route, which doesn't really help because then you have the option to pick what kind of nuances you want in your game going forward. But I had like a quick question. Like, I'm not really. My question is that if he's this good, and don't take this the wrong way, if he's as good as people say he is, why was he at Lokomotiv Moscow? Why was he not at another club, like somewhere better in Europe? If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's a really good shout. I mean, he obviously was one of the brainchilds and minds behind creating a lot of the German managers right now that we look at. The RB project is in Leipzig and Salzburg. He was,
Yeah.
he helped to build. I think for him, it was always wanting to go into that right job, really. And he's been pushing for the Man United job for a long time. You can kind of go back across the timeline and see a number of occasions where he's sort of looked at it and moved forward in that regard. I think what I would say is this, though. I'm not an expert on who the best footballing directors are. Are there people that are equally as good and better than him in the game? Potentially. So I think it isn't as though he is the godfather of it and is the best of the best of the best. He is one of the best out there. And I think it's just a case of if your club's already got someone good in position, like Liverpool have got somebody great in that position, there hasn't necessarily been the need to appoint him, as it were. But yeah, it's a really good point. And I just think it's a case of him finding the right club for him. Interestingly, we're going to the Lokomotiv Moscow. Just in my experience of dealing with a fair few of the Russian managers and Russian players in my previous job, they pay really well. They pay really, really well. So
That's what it was.
there's always that as an advantage. Plus, I think as well, if you're waiting for a particular job, and I think you'll get this story come out soon, how United has been a job he's been angling on. It's a little bit harder to walk away or get out of a job if you go to run Barcelona, if you're running one of the gargantuan clubs as an example. So I think that's kind of it. The only other kind of partnership I would have probably preferred over Ralph in terms of my personal preference would have been the kind of Overmars Van der Sar link. But then maybe that's because I'm just more familiar with those two people as footballers, and their name stands out more to me.
I think with them, if you were going to go for, I think that would have been better in hindsight. But at the same time, like that would be building towards more of an IX model going in the long term, and it would take a lot of time to process that.
Yeah.
Because, like for a fact, like for example, I've got a family member who went through the United Youth Academy, and the way they produce talent is completely different to the way IX does.
Exactly.
So there's no form of uniformity like City does. So it would take time to drop.
I also read yesterday, and again, I haven't delved into these stories, but I also understand that he turned down a role in the last couple of years at Chelsea to like partly run their operation. So I think I think it's one of those things. I think if we research it, you'll probably find, oh look, he's turned, and you don't know why. It could just be I don't want to work with you, right fit, right time, and that sort of thing.
That's fair enough.
He kind of strikes me as the guy, Ralph, that wouldn't. He isn't just going to take a job to take a job to take a job. But we'll see what comes out of that. Sarim, really good call, mate.
Quick
really
question, sorry, before I go.
Go on, mate. Go on.
Is there any new clues?
No new clue. Well, I'll put the clues up on the screen. So these are the ones so far. Myrtle, the Manchester Derby, Tottenham and United, big examples. Sorry, Tottenham and Liverpool. What happened when it happens to your club? You love it. Rivals hate it. Arsenal have a connection. Those are the football terror secret phrase clues. They say,
I've
yeah,
got
no,
the whole family on this, so
love it, mate. No problem at all.
No
I'll
worries.
speak to you soon. Cheers to him.
Cheers,
Top
mate.
man.
Take care.
Thank you. Next on the show, Ty is going to be on with us. Tyrone is going to be here to have you say this morning. Welcome to the hang on, it moved. Welcome to the terrace, mate. What are you saying?
Hi Terry, how you doing?
I'm very, very well, my friend. Give me your take on this news.
I'm actually gassed for once in so long. Like it's
Tell me why. Tell me why.
it's just it seems like I hate to say, but hopefully the Glazers are after turning the corner. It just seems to be a catch somewhere. If you get what I mean.
Yes, that's because we don't have faith or trust in them, and I'm like you. I'm going to be glass half full on this. I'm saying, I hope and pray this is the turning of the corner. I hope and pray that we give the football operations over to football people, because with the money we spend, with the right people orchestrating and running the club at board level, there is a genuine chance that we start to yield real success at this club, or at the very least, be highly competitive both domestically and in Europe. And I think when you spend over £1 billion on transfers and over £1 billion on salaries in a 9-year period, you have to, as fans, you have to expect to be challenging for titles at the very least.
Especially with the squad we have, we should be challenging.
Absolutely.
Would you say he'll bring in his own team, because McKenna and Phelan, I don't know what Phelan is doing. He must be bringing out cones, or I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, I look at it this way. That I've read that a lot of the coaches will stay on, but he is going to be bringing in his own assistant manager. So I think there'll be a kind of integration over time. I don't think they're going to have a massive overhaul for the last 6 months, mainly because there'll then be another one come the summer. And again, my take will be, and I bet Ralf says something to the effect of, in my experience, having a huge transition of coaches, sort of 3 different sets of coaches in the space of 6 to 9 months, it can be difficult for players to take and understand. So I think it'll be a slow burner in that area, but I definitely think there'll be some new nuances.
Who would you like to see coming this summer as manager?
Or if Magic one time, Julian Nagelsmann's always been my number one choice. I'd still love Zidane, but I don't think either of those two are available. So I would look at Ten Hag, Maurizio Pochettino. They're my number 1 and 2 right now, as an example that I would probably look at, mate. How about yourself?
I'd love to see Ten Hag. As I said the last day that I was on your show, I'd love to see Ten Hag. I don't know what it is about him. The thing with Zidane, Zidane would be brilliant as well. But if you're married or in a relationship with a girl or boy, whatever, and you're married, and if they wanted to do something in their career, you'd be 100% behind them, and you'd wish them whatever.
Yeah.
But it just seems with Zidane's wife, it's time just throw her
out. There we go. Ty, listen, my man, thank you very much for coming on and having your say. I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you very much indeed. Who am I going to next? I'm going to go to man like Pav. I know you messaged me yesterday, Pav, about microphones. I will message you back, I promise. Pav's in the house, big contributor of the terrace. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, man. Firstly, can you hear me clearly for once?
That is perfect.
Yeah, I've just linked up my gaming headset, so yeah, that's a relief. I should have done that before.
That works perfectly. Yeah, give me. Obviously, we spoke yesterday morning, and the talk was, could there be some movement with Maurizio today? 4 hours later, Ralf is practically announced by the world's leading media as coming in as manager. I'd love to get your take, mate.
Yeah, I was kind of swaying actually yesterday after seeing the whole Pochettino thing, and then obviously I couldn't finish the call with you, and then I woke up to see this whole Ralf news breaking, and I was like, oh wow, they're actually using their brains for once and not their figures and whatnot, and what's going to bring in money or social social graphs or whatnot. But I'm all for this. If they actually going to listen to this guy at the end of the season, take his advice. I don't want it to be that he's here and he's advising them this and they're doing the other thing, whatever brings them, like, I don't know, better numbers in sales because of this and that. I've seen like what he's done at Red Bull, the players that he's brought in, and what they've turned out to be. I'm all for it, and I know he's a fan of Sancho because he wanted him to stay at Dortmund. So I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to see him turn people like Sancho, Greenwood, Rashford, even Amad Diallo into like stars. I know he's only here for 6 months, but the coach that he will bring in, I want him to implement what his style of football is going to be, and whether it's Ten Hag or Poch or someone else, at least this club is using their brain for once. But I'm not forgiving them for what they've done. I see a lot
Yes.
of people saying, "Oh, I'm all for Ed Woodward staying." If this and I was like, no, they have to go. He has to go for what he's done over these last 8-9 years. Richard Arnold, I see that story as well. Maybe he's seen what's happened to Ed Woodward, like people dashing flares at his house. Maybe he doesn't want no part of this. What's happened to
Well,
Ed? So he's given the powers to people who know what
it's
they're doing.
absolutely, and it's a smart move. And I feel like Man United are protecting Ed Woodward in terms of how they're doing this. But this is, do you know what's interesting for me? I've had so many debates on YouTube over the past 6 years about what the biggest problem at Manchester United is. And I've always said players and managers have been issues, but the way we run the club has been the key factor. So the irony in all of this is that one of my reasonings for not wanting Ollie sacked, even though I didn't think he was good enough, was who are we going to appoint? But more importantly, what's happening at board level? And I felt 18 months ago, a year ago, was the wrong time to sack Ollie. How do we know this? It was only 6 months ago. We rejected Ralf as the sporting director at this club. Something has changed internally. Whether it be they feel they've built what they've built and they're now ready to move to this level, whether it be listening to fans, I don't really care what the reason is to a degree, but something's clicked and changed. They're now ready to it appears to start running the club like a proper big club. Therefore, it's the right time to remove someone like Ollie and do things but my point is, until we were running the club right, if Richard Arnold, who's an ex-banker, was going to be running the football matters of the club, I've said all along, it doesn't matter whether you got Ollie or Zidane, you're still destined to fail. You might accumulate an extra 10 points, an extra 3 or 4 wins a season, but in the end, you were going to fall short of the clubs that are run properly. So this news for me is what I've been waiting for 9 years. So I'm excited. I'm still a little bit nervous because this club has let us down before. But yeah, go on, mate. Ask away.
Do you think 2 years is enough for him to turn around the club like altogether how we should be going forward, or do you think you need to stay longer?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of setting it in motion, if I got a call tomorrow, if someone said to me, Terry, we want you to come and run a particular department of the company they work for in my old specialism, which was predominantly customer experience and journeys, is what I used to do. And an important part of most companies, to be fair. If even if it was the most broken down, destroyed process, the worst department of the company, if I couldn't get that back on an even keel and on a really good upward trajectory inside 12 months, I'm not worth the money that you're paying me at that level. Because Man United, it's not going to be an overhaul. I almost feel this now. It isn't. This news is telling me there's not going to be an overhaul. It's going to be building upon what's already been made in the last 2 to 3 years. So yeah, 2 years is more than enough to get us back on the straight and narrow. And by then, it's that case of, does Ralf want to remain or go to a new challenge elsewhere? If not, they might say, look, we want you to stay on and keep doing this. And then you give him a new 2-year, 3-year deal. Maybe we have him here. I don't know how long Michael Edwards has been at Liverpool. What was that, 5-6 years, something like that? So you could do it. But I think 2 years should be more than enough to get us ticking over well. The projection and trajectory in a good direction. Yeah, that's what I would say, my friend. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds about right. But even if he does want to go after 2 years, maybe he can advise who we should bring in next, and not just hand the powers back to people and that's the financial.
And that's it. It's all those things being done right. If he leaves and it then is Mark Overmars and Edwin that come in, it's great. And hopefully this is what I'm praying for, that we can yield victories, happier fans, trophies, and show them they can still make more money. Like, this is one thing I don't know if they've been advised on. And it sounds crazy to say this because the level they all work at monetary-wise. If we were winning Prems in this last 9 years, with all the new money that's coming to football, they'd be even richer. It's almost, that's what they've got to be sold. I know you're only here for money. We'll do it our way and we'll make you even more money. That's how you sell to the Glazers. Does that make sense? Don't sell them the trophies, sell them the additional money that comes with it. But Pav, great call as ever, mate. It's good to actually have good connection with your call for once.
Yeah.
And we'll speak soon, brother. Take care, mate. Thank you very much indeed. Remember, tonight, ladies and gentlemen, Friday night on the terrace, live at 6 p.m. Very excited to be doing that show. Very, very excited indeed. And see that coming out. Lots of great takes on the Ralf news and other things. So make sure you're tuning into the terrace tonight. Harry's back with a super chat that says, is the phrase, I need a wee. There's a what? Here, lass, fetch me the bottle. I've just unload into that. That is the weirdest phrase, Harry. I will read it out. It's not overtly rude. It reminds me of that scene from The Inbetweeners when they're in the car. Do you remember that one? They're driving to London with the beer can. Great show. Great show. Right, let's do some more calls here. Man like Mash is here with us now. What are you saying, my brother? You're on mute, by the way. Are you there, Mash? Are you there, Mash?
Yes, hello.
How you doing, buddy? What do you want to say?
Yeah, so I want to add some things, and so I'd like to ask some time, just a bit, small amount of time from you. Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
Okay.
Go on.
So yesterday, I think we spoke, and I told you there might be I think for me, Ralf might come in an interim basis, right? I think the club have fixed something that they made a mistake on in 2016, and I know it's going to be a very unpopular opinion from my point, which I would say is sacking Van Gaal after he won the FA Cup was a mistake. We should have appointed him to the footballing director role rather than sack him. The last man we called the Godfather, the man who talked about the philosophy and architect. Yeah, it was a different type of philosophy. It was a different type of football, but he did have a philosophy. He was building something. He was building the youth up, and we sacked him and we bought in Mourinho. So because the main reason was Woodward wanted to bring Pogba, and I still remember the reports going out was no players wanted to play under this strict manager who did this, who did that, who had rules, who had fines and whatnot. But the thing is, nowadays, if you look at new managers, young managers like Xavi, Arteta, they too have fines, they too have rules and whatnot. But those are not scrutinized as much as it was under Van Gaal. He was pointed as a dictator. But these new managers, their rules are, the 10 Commandments, and their rules are revolutionary. So what I'm saying is that they're doing something that they made a mistake in 2016.
Yeah.
And I'd like to say that when Ralf comes in, we shouldn't be surprised, if his style at least in the first 3 months is pragmatic, possession-based, like a bit what the Gal was. And to save the points, to get points, we shouldn't be surprised. We shouldn't expect this to be a merry-go-round and Merry Christmas and whatnot. It's not gonna be jolly football from the beginning.
Yeah, look. There still could be some bumps in the road. I think Man United fans should forget the notion that from day one we're just going to look like Liverpool or Chelsea. I would slow down a bit on that. The excitement around, I still think we'll make top four now with him as our manager. With this squad, I still think we'll make top four. But it's the longer term plan here that I'm really excited about, and maybe just taking our time. Maybe Ralf spends 6 months with this squad and turns around to the ball and says, "Look, Poch isn't the right guy for this job. Maybe this manager here that we're not even really focusing on right now will get the best results out of this group with 2 or 3 additions." That's the kind of due diligence needed. Sometimes it isn't about, this is the point, right? I know Ed Woodward and these guys work at Man United, so they've got an insight to things that we don't get as football fans, but they're not trained football experts. I don't think based on stories we get told, I don't think they know more than the general fan on the street. Like, you hear some of the stories and you think, why would you think or do that, right? So they might all want Poch, but if someone with the football brain and experience of Ralf says, Poch ain't right for this group, and how you want him to go and play football, Joe Bloggs is, that's what we need to start listening to. I've always said my preference is my preference, but I don't care if I'm wrong as long as my team is progressing and moving forward. And I think that's the big key factor here. Mash, really good call, my friend. I really appreciate you coming on and having your say, mate. I'll speak to you again soon. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Top man. Pav here says, James Ducker saying Ralf bring in multiple staff. I think he will. I read one report last night that all of United staff are saying. I read another that said the assistant manager was coming in. I think there'll be a slow change and kind of integration from Manchester United. Maybe 2 or 3 members in. I think you might see McKenna or Carrick stay as an example. I think Mike Phelan will go away from the first team potentially. But then let's see what Ralf thinks. Again, if Ralf says McKenna's great, I'm keeping him. Phelan's experience, I'm keeping him. We'll all change their opinions then. But Ralf likes him, I like him. That's just the way things tend to work. Please invite Ty for the Man United Arsenal build-up. We can definitely look at doing that, my friend. No problem. Next on the show today, I'm going to go to Quads. I never spoke to Quads before. I don't think I have. Quads is on the show. What are you saying? You're on mute if you're trying to talk.
Yo.
Yeah, how you doing, bro? What do you want to say?
Nah, I'm not saying anything. Like, I'm a Chelsea fan, innit? So, like, I just wanted to say to United fans, like, you might need to chill. Like, everyone's saying, he's the godfather. He's the godfather of Tuchel. He's the godfather of Klopp. I'm just saying, like, relax. This guy hasn't even won that many trophies. Like, he failed at Leipzig, and he hasn't competed with Borussia Dortmund or Bayern Munich. Like, I just wanted to say, like, you might need to relax.
Do you understand? Just people are excited about what he's going to bring from a board level point of view, not so much what he's going to yield in the next 6 months as manager. His managerial expertise are not what people are excited about. It's the fact that he developed and helped make Tuchel, Klopp, and so many great scouts has been the brainchild behind finding so much talent around Europe, the likes of Mane, the likes of Haaland, the likes of Daka. That's what we're excited about. It isn't that we think he's going to be as good a manager on the pitch as Tuchel. It's the fact that we believe we've got one of the best directors of football in world football. That's what we're excited about, bro.
Yeah, and I see that. And obviously, like, if he gets to like get into the director of football as a head, then I think United are really dangerous in the future. As I see,
I hear that, bro.
I don't really think like you're competition to Chelsea, Man City.
Are you gonna beat us? Are you gonna beat us on Sunday?
100%, 4-0 battering. 100%.
4-0 battering. My guy Quads. You know what I'm saying, there, brother. You look after yourself, my friend. Thanks for calling in and having your say. Sounds like he's out in the rain there, but listen, I like the confidence there. Sarim says, "Is the phrase 6-1 demolition?" The phrase isn't 6-1 demolition, but again, thank you for having another guest, my friend. Next on the show, I'm going to go to LFCJ. What are you saying, LFCJ?
Yeah. Can you hear me, Terry?
Yes, speak away.
Terry, man, Ralf Rangnick, what an appointment. If this deal is completed, then you guys going to be dangerous in the future, because this guy in Schalke, he was a manager of Schalke. He turned this RB Leipzig team from a 4th division team to a Bundesliga second place. That is a good option, and being him as an interim manager would be great. So I think he can develop players like Sancho and he can develop players like Greenwood and Rashford. You guys are going to be dangerous, man, in the near future.
I hope so. Great call, my friend. Thanks for coming on and having your say. I hope Man United are dangerous. Really good points being made there. Young Tommy's on the show next. Big Arsenal fan is Young Tommy. We're nearly on 400 likes, people, as well. Let's get those likes up on the show. Tommy's here. What you saying, mate?
Hi, Tal. You all right?
I'm very well. Give me your take on Ralf to Man United.
That's a good appointment, man. He's a good manager. He made Klopp, he made Tuchel, he made Nagelsmann, he made Hasenhüttl. He's a good manager. I think he'll do wonders with you, and I think he'll get you top 4, and he will definitely win you a few trophies. I think he'll do wonders with you. He's a good manager, man. I'm jealous. I'm jealous. You've got him. I'm really jealous because we're stuck with this novice manager, and I'm really jealous you've got him. But I'm happy for you guys. Like, you guys deserved it. After you guys have been through a lot, so you guys deserved it. And I think he's got a good philosophy, style of play, playing good football, and I think the players are gonna. It will take. I think the players will get into his philosophy, and you guys will be playing better football. So yeah, good luck to you guys.
Thank you. Do you know what I really find interesting about it is I'm not going to do the exposing of it. I had a little look last night when I was in the studio.
Yeah,
I found when Newcastle announced that that it was news, sorry, that they were close to appointing Ralf as their director of football.
yeah.
I saw so many people saying, "Oh my God, this is an amazing appointment." The same people are now slagging him off because Man United have brought him in, and I love to see it. It's when you see someone change their tune about the same person based on the manager that's the club that's signing them. It tells you there's no guarantees this will work, but it tells me as a Man United fan there's a possibility that it will. I saw this when Chelsea were appointing Thomas Tuchel, when Liverpool were appointing Jurgen Klopp. There was all this talk of rubbish. They're not going to do anything, and that's fear. That is fear in people. Pep won't do nothing in England. He ain't got Messi. It's harder here. It's competitive. You know, they're not the most dominant team. There's loads of good teams. Look what he's done. Whenever you see like that step change in people's opinion of a player or a manager, it tells you there is an air of fear and sort of trepidation around it, my friend. So there we go. Pat, I'm not exposing them because, you know, the last time I've stopped showing people's tweets off because I get called out. I get called out as being a bully. I'm like, it's private information. But anyway, there we go. Listen, young Tommy, I appreciate you phoning in, mate, and having your say. We'll speak again soon, young man. Thank you very, very much indeed. Most people didn't know about Ralf till yesterday. That's not quite true. Next on the show, I'm going to Mr. Samuel. Mr. Samuel's on the show with me now. What are you saying, buddy?
Yeah, Terry, thank you so very much for getting me on your show the very first time.
Not a problem, my brother. What do you want to say, my friend?
Yeah, I want to say the beauty about this appointment of Ralf is that if you have gotten directly to get Posh or the man in Holland, the name just went off my head.
Ten Hag, yes.
Ten Hag, yeah. We would have gotten the same mess above. The beauty with Ralf is that after 6 months, you move ahead. He goes up the ladder. Then whosoever is coming after can work beautifully with him. Do you understand what I mean, Terry?
Yeah. Yes. No, mate. I agree with you. If we've gone
directly to get Posh, it would have been this. Would have had the same mess above. Maybe in 2 or 3 years, we'll come back to the same thing we had with Ole.
Completely and utterly agree with you. I think
that's the beauty about this appointment.
I completely agree with you, buddy. I really, really do. Mr. Samuel, thank you for coming on and having and making your first call on the terrace, mate. Great point being made there. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you,
no worries, my friend. Thank you very much indeed. Next on the show, Mo is with us. What you saying, Mo?
Morning, Terry. Yeah, I think it's a great deal, to be honest. I think now 6-month interim manager with a 2-year consultancy role. He's a footballing man. You know, he's coached the likes of Thomas Tuchel, Klopp. I think they've come under him or something like that. There's a link there between them two. I think, you know, bring him in. He goes into hopefully a more higher role after 6 months, and then you can get, if it's gonna be Pochettino, Ten Hag, Zidane, there's some sort of plan. It's taken 8 years, but there's some sort of plan now that we're actually moving forward with the times. I wouldn't start celebrating yet. It's a long way to go, but at least we're starting to some sort of run like a football club. After 8 years, Terry, of becoming a commercial giant, we're starting to focus on the footballing aspect of it. And hopefully, with this, we'll start seeing benefits on the pitch.
Yeah,
I'm excited. I'm genuinely excited of the football we're going to play under this guy.
I hear you, and do you know what I say is this? It depends on the kind of person you are. I don't like moving goalposts, so no. I understand it's taken a long time for the Glazers to run this club better. There's still lots of things they need to improve, and I'm not giving them a pass. However, I don't believe in life you can sit there and say, bring in a quality football director and give the footballing decision to football people. We start doing that, and then you change your negativity to, yeah, but you should have done it sooner. As in, but you're asking for them to. So essentially, I know some people are still not happy with it, and I'm not saying you go from disliking the Glazers to saying they're the best owners in the world. But I will celebrate this and go, okay, this is a good move. The same as I did when we announced Fletcher and Murtaugh, which, by the way, I don't think they've done a bad job. They are now going to have someone to learn from and be nurtured from. It's slow step changes.
To be honest,
what I won't do is be negative about this individual piece of news, because right now it isn't negative. And you take it. I'm still nervous because the Glazers have let us down before, but I'm not going to go into this. I'm not happy because we should have done it 9 years ago. So therefore, it doesn't matter that we're doing it now. That's a weird mindset to me.
No, of course. And I want to look if this, if these steps are positive, I want to come on the day. I want to come on the day where on the football terrace where we're celebrating Premier League title. We've never done that on the football terrace. We've never ever celebrated a Premier League title on the football terrace, and I want to do that. And if that's what I want to do. We've never, as Man United fans, you're a Man United fan, I'm a Man United fan. We've never ever celebrated Champions League or Premier League, and I want to see the day that everyone's gonna come on the football terrace and we're gonna be celebrating a league title. That's gonna be amazing.
I hope. I pray. I pray.
I want to do that, honestly. I don't want to wait. We wait for 5, 6 years. I just want to win a league title and celebrate.
And I hope we do it as well, my friend. Listen, really appreciate you calling in as ever, Mo. Top man. Thank you. Everybody that's tuned into the show this morning, thank you. Friday Night on the Terrace out at 6 p.m. tonight. Make sure you are tuning in. It's a bang. It's an absolute banger of a show. The people we have on: Nini, Have Hope, Monster, the Grand Dam, Lies is on the show. We've got Absam last week on the show. Who else we got? Obviously, KJ's on the show with me. Adam Charles is on the show. I'm trying to remember everybody that was there last night. It's so hard. Prime was on the show. We've got Back of the Nest, big Chelsea fan, man like D. Like so many good people on tonight. So make sure you're tuning in. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon.